So welcome to the second session of our Golden Opportunities sessions. This one, the role of the growth and engagement teams. So we decided to put on these different sessions about different opportunities beyond the kind of traditional unit guiding roles, just to give people a chance to explore some of the different things that you can get up to in guiding, use the skill set or the interest that you've got in areas other than just volunteering in the unit with girls. So this specifically is going to cover the role of the growth and engagement teams, which is especially important now as we come out of recovering from COVID, but also just important all the time. Obviously, everybody in guiding is passionate about girl guiding and ensuring that as many girls and young women as possible can benefit from girl guiding. So that's why I'm passionate about growth and engagement. I benefited so much from girl guiding as a young member, and kind of found myself in this role looking after growth and engagement. And it is fantastic to be able to work on growing guiding and retaining the volunteers and the girls that we do have, and shouting out about how fantastic we are on social media, etc. So hopefully if you're here tonight or if you're watching the recording, you're equally as interested and passionate about growth and engagement and shouting out about the brilliant things that we do, and especially how growth and engagement can work together really well, and how really they go hand in hand, supporting each other. So with that, I will hand over to the growth and engagement team from Greater Manchester West, who work together brilliantly already and are going to share more about the role of growth and engagement.
Great, thank you. Hi everyone. So we just thought we'd start with a quick introduction to the three of us. So I'm Katie, and I am half of the PR advisor for GMW. Started out in guiding back when I was 10 or so, well, a bit younger than that, as a brownie, and then kind of moved away from it. And then it wasn't until I went on a run about 3 years ago and I saw the guides in a church near me. And so I literally just inquired, and then here I am, a leader 3 years later for a guide unit, a ranger unit, and now doing this PR as well. Not really sure how that happened. Chris Rimmer has a way of twisting your arm into these roles. No, but I got kind of like, what's the word, nominated. And I thought it'd be really cool, as was kind of just explained by Emma. It's an exciting area to be in, and we're doing it for the girls, so to try and entice, I don't know if that's the right word, but encourage girls to join and get leaders involved as well. I work in advertising, so there's kind of some overlap with the PR side of things, but it is a massive learning curve, and it's been great to do it with Aisha and then Judith as well. So I'll let Aisha introduce herself next.
Hi, I'm Aisha. I've been a member of Girlguiding since I was a rainbow and gone all the way through, but I grew up in Durham, so did rainbows and guides all the way through there. And then when I moved to Manchester for university, so I was a leader there, rainbow leader, all the way through that. I went to America for a year as well and set up my own Girl Scout troop. And then when I came back, I started becoming a PR advisor as well, joining with Katie. So I think I can say I've done everything or lots for girl guiding. My degree is in TV production, so it's kind of merging social media and the PR together, and my commitment to and passion for girl guiding. So again, we've done recruitment campaigns and different things recently to try and boost the volunteers. And Judith's team with the growth and retention team has done a lot for that. So I'll pass on to Judith.
Hi, I'm Judith. I've been in guiding for, well, since I was a brownie. There weren't rainbows when I started. So I was a brownie first, carried all the way through, and have been a leader for over 40 years, a guide leader in different parts of the country, actually. I started off in the Midlands, I went to the Northeast, and now I've been for the longest in North West region. And along those 40 years, as well as being a leader as a guide leader, I've done lots of other little roles. So had lots of other experiences in guiding, fast experiences, which have been absolutely marvellous. At the moment, I'm involved with growth and retention, as it was then called. It's now membership growth. So my role is the county membership growth coordinator. So I for the last 5 or 6 years, have worked with a small team. Our county commissioner at the time asked us to set up a smallish team, really because we just wanted people who felt passionate about it, rather than actually persuading every division that they must send a representative. We just asked for people who were really interested in membership growth for whatever reason. And we've started off with about 4 people, about, as I say, 5 or 6 years ago, with their own particular reasons for joining. One lady because she was very keen to encourage her brownies to go to guides, another because she was very keen to thank and recognise the volunteers in her own area and try to retain them, and another because she was looking at recruiting adult volunteers. So we took those different areas and have tried to support each division in our county to develop a strategy and a growth plan for their own division. As you can imagine, for the first 4 years or so, that was very much concentrating on growth. The last 18 months have made quite a difference to us. But before then, we have continued to grow quite a lot. And we for different reasons, really. As I say, some because there were long waiting lists in some areas, so we needed to open new units. In others, we wanted to recruit more volunteers because some units were under threat. The thing that I have learned is that every division has different needs. So it's quite difficult and probably impossible, really, to actually have a plan for the whole county that you implement everywhere. It's about supporting each division and encouraging everybody. My motto really has been, we all should be taking responsibility for growth. And retention, of course, as well. So every leader should be doing that all the time. We're all adverts for Girlguiding, aren't we? Whatever we're doing. And that's why I've been so passionate about it. So that's a bit about me. That's about the role. And obviously we're running at the moment 2 separate teams. I think then I'll move on to say really where we actually came together. That's really what I'm moving on to, isn't it? So what I wanted, as there's a small enough group, we would like to involve you as well, really, and get some input from you as well, to think about, as I say, our main aim really for the past 4 or 5 years has been looking at recruiting adult volunteers, because we've been fairly fortunate in Greater Manchester West in that most areas we have had quite good long waiting lists of girl members. So we needed to be able to find those volunteers to offer Girlguiding to everybody who wanted to join. So forget COVID, try and turn your minds back to, maybe 2 years ago. And if we were trying to recruit adult volunteers in a normal world, can we just think for a few minutes about the different ways that we might be able to do that? Quite happy for you to write in the chat, or there's few enough of you to just put your hand up and tell us, or if you've had any experience of recruiting volunteers, how you've done it, different methods really. Is anybody up for suggestions? Abby?
I was just thinking about how we tend to lose a lot of members after they leave Rangers and they don't go on to become adult leaders. So I don't know whether it would be important to go into universities, contact SAGOs, inspire groups and things like that to make sure we retain the 18 to 30-year-olds as volunteers and they don't kind of just leave the system.
Great, that's something that Aisha took to heart quite a bit. She was on the membership growth team before she went on to PR, weren't you, for a while, before you went to America? And that was something you worked on for us at Salford University quite a bit. So, yeah, do you want to say anything on that, Aisha?
Yeah, I think it was difficult to find the people that wanted, who were likely to want to do it. But we did some stands and some stalls and things like that. And when you actually stand there with all the banners and the leaflets, people come up to you and like, oh yeah, I was in that. I remember doing that. And so it does start even just the conversation going again. So I think it is important and it is a big thing, but it was a challenge in our area, I think, to actually see, they would sign up, but then it was actually following through and we didn't get as many becoming actual leaders. But there's definitely more work we can do there.
Yeah, so student fairs, encouraging that sort of age group. Any other ways in which we can recruit adult volunteers? How has anybody else either gone about it or can see ways that we might do that? As I say, forget COVID at the moment. Jocelyn?
Yeah, actually asking people, it's not just the leader roles you're looking for, it's sometimes the person to do the admin, the person to do the accounts, and just sometimes asking them, because there aren't just the Mrs. Tuesday night roles. There's lots of other support that we need. And then maybe they will eventually take on a unit at some point in the future, but the softly approach has worked with us.
Absolutely, that's something as a membership growth team, apart from just looking at recruiting, and we've then talked about warm welcomes and making sure that we encourage people, that we follow them up, that then we would put them with buddies. So we have, I suppose I didn't really mention that, but I've just talked about recruiting, but that's because we're going to talk about what we've done with the PR team. But there is another role to membership growth. It's about making sure that people are welcomed and that we find the right role for them, or they find the right role for themselves, and we give them options. And very much about teamwork, because it's quite frightening if they didn't really expect that they were taking over running the unit, but actually a group of friends can work as a team and run a unit very successfully. So yes, and as Jocelyn said, it's about talking to people, isn't it? I think I've just said we're all adverts for that. So again, being a bit harder with social distancing and not being able to see people, but actually one way of recruiting is just talk about guiding, talk about people, and that way you'll recruit some more volunteers. Anything else? Any other ways of doing it? I mean, say fairly obvious basic things, and if you want to pop them in the chat, that's fine. If you don't want to speak, however you want to. But any other ideas apart from talking to people, student fairs? Sarah's going to say something. I can see her. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah, I've come from undercover. We've got a leader in our county who leaves little postcards every time she goes out anywhere, to the pub or a restaurant. She leaves cards in the toilets for people to pick up about girl guiding, just sort of, on the off chance that someone might pick something up and read it and take it away. That's another idea.
Brilliant. So that's it. And actually there was, I think the last region meeting we had for membership growth, there was a lady sent, she has a display, I can't remember which area, she's one of the Cumbrias, I think, that she puts in her car. When she parks her car somewhere, it's in the front or the back of her car, and it's all about girl guiding, so that anybody walking past can see it. So using posters, postcards, all that the free resources you can get from Broadheath, they're all free. And again, in a normal world, when you can go and put them in doctor's surgeries, libraries, leisure centres, all sorts of places. Sorry, what did you say?
Pub toilets, yeah.
Pub toilets, yeah. All over the place. So posters, postcards, information like that, the girl guiding ones, and that's free. That's you can get those for free. So it's at no cost to the county. Abby.
Yeah, kind of on the same lines of the thing you were saying about the lady put something in her window. I saw, I was on Instagram, I think it was somewhere in Wales, some county, I think, had developed some sort of car sticker that kind of had all the information on of how to volunteer, which I thought was really good, because you see them for a lot of other charities and organizations, but I felt like that would be a really kind of good thing, because people always spot them, is what I said.
Thank you. That's another thing that we've talked about. I know in our county we haven't got there yet, but the PR team might be working on it. I don't know, but it's just something we've looked at. So moving on, really, I mean, I've got here posters, parents, sending out letters to parents, emails, communicating with parents about coming to help, that they don't have to take over running the unit. But as Jocelyn said, there are other roles that they could do, maybe they could assist with. Schools, we've emailed schools and asked if they're willing to put something into their parents' email newsletter about girl guiding. That works for young members as well, as volunteers. Drop-ins, churches, there's all sorts of different ways of recruitment, and I think that's the thing, that we need to think about all sorts of ways when we can, not just one particular method. And then of course there's social media. So we started thinking last autumn in the membership growth team about the fact that we were hoping then, weren't we, in the January, we were going to be getting back to normal. And we realised that we would be needing more adult volunteers, because some people had decided that they were leaving or they couldn't take on guiding any longer, and we needed to actually try and retain some of the units. So we started, I think, probably September, October as a team talking about it. And then it became obvious that there was going to be a problem. We weren't going to be dropping off posters, having displays in shopping centres, calling in schools and taking things. So there was a big chat, bit of a powwow, appropriate, and decided, right, are we going to carry on or are we going to postpone this? And we thought, no, let's not waste any time. There's one way we can still do it. We can do it through social media. So at that point, we started talking to our PR ladies who had only fairly recently taken over the role, and were just forming a great team with all sorts of different skills within that team, skills that I do not have at all, although some of our membership growth team do as well. So we joined together. So this was really quite a new, exciting venture for us. And our PR team, our membership growth team, which is where we're getting the growth and engagement title from that you use at Region, came together, and we decided that we would have a social media volunteer recruitment week. Over to Katie.
Yeah, so as Judith mentioned, so Aisha and I came into our roles in the January, and we were told that this new recruitment drive is happening, and as the PR team, we needed to head it up. So growth and retention had come up with all of these really great ideas, and we needed to action them. So we came together, and it was, you know, pretty intense, but we pulled it off. So we're just going to talk about what we did. So within the PR team, our kind of main role is executing these ideas and getting the message out there for our county. So there's Aisha and I who kind of head things up, and then we also have some amazing other volunteers in the team. So we've got like a Facebook specialist, we've got an Instagram specialist, we've got a video specialist, Twitter, we've got TikTok. So everyone kind of brings their own ideas. We've got one girl who's amazing on Canva, so she creates all our logos and all our imagery and things. So together we make a really good team. So we had this idea. I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully it works. I'm going to do advanced. I don't know whether I'll be able to. Hold on.
I have made you a co-host, Katie, so you should be able to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all right. I was trying to share my sound as well, but it's worked. I think. What's going on here? Technology. I've been working from home for over a year now. And, still don't get it right first time. Okay, can you see my PowerPoint? Yes. It says Girlguiding GNW volunteer recruitment week. Perfect. So we had 3 main goals that we wanted to kind of achieve. Obviously, the overarching goal was get more volunteers, but we were going to do that through a volunteer challenge week, increase social media presence, and paid and earned media. So like we said, we had all these great ideas. We thought life was going back to normal in January, and then obviously it hasn't, and we're still not fully back to normal. So we had to adapt everything that we'd come up with to live in a COVID world. So our kind of whole week revolved heavily around social media, because that was kind of the only place that we wouldn't change. So what we did, we came up with 5 days doing 5 different things to get the message out there, because there's research to say that if you say something 6 times to someone, they're more likely to remember it. So we just wanted to kind of repeat that message throughout the week, weave it into conversations. So throughout everything that we did, we had the hashtags, #Girlguiding Greater Manchester West, across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok, #Volunteer Salford, #Volunteer Trafford. So like I say, each day was a different challenge. So on Monday, we asked people to get the phrase, "I volunteer for Girlguiding," into a conversation 6 times. So that could be across social or in real life as well. So on your Zoom meetings, in the office, if you were back in the office, you just had to try and say it 6 times. On Tuesday, we asked friends and family to post on their social media channels how great it is that their friend or family member volunteers for Girlguiding. So getting other people to talk about it as well as yourself. Wednesday, the challenge was to get our message onto a radio station, and also ask them to play Reach by S Club 7. I'm going to talk through the results in a minute, so we'll let you know how this all went. Thursday was Make Us Famous. So the challenge was to get a celebrity to retweet or repost an Instagram story, a Facebook post, a tweet about our county and volunteering. And then Friday was wear your uniform to work day if possible. So myself, I work from home at the minute, so I was able to wear my uniform whilst I was on all my meetings and stuff, and that started a conversation with my colleagues and the external people that I had meetings with that day. How we got the message out there, again, obviously people weren't meeting face to face, so social media was the key. So we have a county newsletter called Our County, where we created a one-pager which had all the information about the week, and where they could download things like a Zoom background, Facebook frames, that kind of thing. And we also pushed it out across social media as well, so what the challenge was for each day. And that had an insane amount of engagement levels. So second goal was that increased social media presence. So I'm going to go through some top line stats here just to kind of paint the picture of how great our volunteers were for getting involved and how important social media was for this particular recruitment campaign. So our Twitter, in January 2021, so a month before the recruitment week, we had 7,000 impressions. The month of the recruitment week, we had 29,000 impressions, nearly 30,000 impressions. You can see there that our tweets impressions went up nearly 1,000%. Our profile visits went up 700%. Our mentions went up 1,200%, and our followers increased by 14. These were some of the things. So across the week, we had Facebook frames being used across Twitter and people showing themselves in uniform. We had people tweeting all the celebrities. There's a tweet there about baking, so they were tweeting Prue Leith, Paul Hollywood, Matt Lucas. We had a radio station dedicate a 2-hour show to us on the radio on Wednesday, and volunteers could tweet in and Facebook in and ring in to kind of show off and shout about their friends in Girlguiding. We had people saying how great their mates are. We had S Club 7 played. We had, I don't know if any of you guys are RuPaul fans, but we had Michelle Visage retweet one of our tweets and like it. So she's pretty like a big star. So I think that was the biggest celebrity that we had retweet. But honestly, we had so many. This is just a tiny portion of the kind of tweets that we were receiving throughout the week. Instagram, same kind of picture there. 11,000 impressions. We reached 5,000 accounts throughout the week. We had 93 profile visits. We had a growth of 1.3% in followers, and we actually created specific posts to go out on Instagram, which kind of told a story throughout the week. So we give girls a voice. We used the statements from Girlguiding. There's Aisha there. There's me dressed as Lilo and Stitch at a Rangers camp. So yeah, we pushed out really positive messages, and they were really heavily engaged with as well. Similar story for Facebook. We had 136 Facebook frames used across the week, and we created 2 different ones that people could choose between. We reached 7,000 people, over 200 page views, and again you can see that there's all green. It all grew across that week that we kind of planned all this activity throughout. And again, we pushed out similar messages, but given that Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all very different platforms, we had to curate different text and things to go on each different platform. So Facebook has no character limit, so we could write whatever we wanted really. We could tell a story on Facebook. Twitter, you can only have, I think it's 150 characters, so you have to be quite careful, and you have to get the message across in that short amount of text. Instagram is very visual, so you have to keep it quite visual. So each platform did a different job, but they obviously had a lot of impact. And then I believe we're one of the first counties to run a TikTok. So we created a few videos. We had 5 more followers within the week, 200 odd views on our last video that we uploaded, and 56 likes across all 3. Hopefully that is just continuing to grow. And a lot of guiding, not necessarily in our region, but a lot of guiding accounts have sprung up recently because they all follow us. So I'll just show you this one that we made. And then we have another one on there of our leaders all saying why they volunteer. What word springs to mind when you think of Girl Guiding?
Collaboration.
Adventure.
Inspiration.
Friendships.
Opportunities.
Diversity.
Inclusion.
Caring.
Family.
Achievement.
Resilient.
Empowering.
Laughter.
Fun.
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 So yeah, again, TikTok is another kind of new platform which is all about video. So again, it's just kind of catering to each what you need to kind of showcase on each one. And then finally, our last goal was paid and earned media. So what we did is we ran some paid social. So we ran a promoted post on Instagram. So we spent £35 and got 43 profile visits off the back of it, and did the same on Facebook as well. So we spent £25 there and actually reached 2,000 people and had 104 engagements. So Facebook was really, really successful for us. And then in terms of earned media, we sent press releases to a couple of local news sites, and Salford Now actually ran an article, and I believe they interviewed you, Judith, didn't they, for that particular
Yes, they did,
one?
yeah.
And we had one specifically for the girls as well. So all in all, it was a very, very busy week, but great fun to get involved with, and kind of coming up with the creative ideas of how we're actually going to execute the things that Judith's team thought up to begin with in a COVID world was challenging, but it worked. So just some results for you. So our recruitment week started on the 15th of February. So at the start of that week, we had 2,168 active girls, 841 volunteers. And the week following the recruitment week, we had 869 volunteers and, you know, a slightly more active girls as well. So it did the job. And they weren't just kind of split into one area, they were across the county. So you can see there by division, they all grew by some amount, which is really great to see. So it just shows that everyone across the county was getting involved and they were spreading the message. And then you can see from this pie chart that our social campaign really did actually help drive those numbers. So we asked people who had put their names forward where they and why they inquired, and you can see that the biggest chunk really there is through social media. And the orange one is not known. So at the time that we pulled this together, we didn't actually know why they'd inquired. So potentially some more would sit into social media. But yeah, we were like ecstatic with the results. It's really good to see. Yeah, that's us. Thanks. Stop sharing now.
Can we just ask at that point if anybody's got any questions? I think that before we move on to Aisha's little bit, having seen all that, which is mind-blowing because it's all very clever, I can't do all that clever stuff, but I think it worked, didn't it, really very well with, as you said, all the different things that we tried through social media. If we'd been able to do the other things as well, it's working on this principle of people see things so many times, 6 times, didn't we say, 6 or 7 or whatever. And what we would have been doing as well would have been actually doing some things physically where people could see us in person as well. That would have been the plan. But this just brought about so much more than we would have ever dreamt because of the hard work that everybody put in. I think the other thing that perhaps we didn't bring out quite as much there is that we also had key people in different areas, didn't we, posting, so that it actually localized some of it, so that different divisions actually put on local Facebook groups as well, and that seemed to bring about good results as well as us just doing it on the on our own website and our own Facebook page. So they were actually going into the areas and appealing to people for their particular area, because I think sometimes that means a bit more to people. Yeah. So really, have you got any questions for Katie, really, and Aisha?
Abby's raised her hand, I think.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, we're trying to set up our Inspire community within Manchester County. And I was just wondering if you had any kind of social media tips that you would give, because I was set up like a Twitter and a Instagram and Facebook, but there was a lot of kind of engagement to begin with. But any tips to kind of keep engagement going?
Yeah, so I primarily run the TikTok and the Twitter. TikTok's a bit more difficult because you have to have some kind of content to push out, whereas Twitter, I try and tweet at least once a day from the actual GMW account to keep things fresh. But then I sit on Twitter at the end of the day and I'll go through and like tweets and retweet them as well. So it's not just my content that I'm pushing out, it's other people's content that you're resharing. And that like keeps it, you know, fresh, and helps people spread their own news as well. And it shows that you're obviously within the community. So I reckon with Twitter, doing at least one tweet a day, because you can get lost on Twitter. Like if you don't have your account pushing out content, you know, daily, every few days, then it can get lost because there's so much out there and so many accounts tweeting. You want to stay fresh on someone's newsfeed. Aisha, do you have any tips on like, Facebook and Instagram?
I think for Facebook, it is similar. Like you have to keep pushing things out regularly. So we kind of have started doing some challenges, like on a Wednesday, we promote certain stories to try and keep it like a routine going every week. And we also, every time we get stories in from members throughout the county, we will put them on the website and link them on all of our social medias to try and pull them all together and post similar things on each account as well, so that it looks like it's all like from the same people. And we've also done just recently for the PR team, we've just done like a competition, story of the month competition. So we get everyone to send in the stories so that we can get some content. So otherwise it's hard to actually push anything if you haven't got any stories to put out. So we've just done like me and Katie will then choose one of the stories and we'll put it, send out a £10 prize for the unit that sent it in, so that then there's like a little bit of a reward for doing it and an incentive to post and send us stories. And so far we've done 2 of those just to keep things fresh. As you say, it's hard to know what to write, isn't it, sometimes? So you just need new things to talk about, but keeping them regular, I think, is the key.
Yeah, and I guess if there's nothing that you have county related or Inspire related, there's always something going on in the world, like, I don't know, Donut Day, or, you know, just something that you can kind of create content off the back of. So it's good to kind of look what National Day it is. It sounds silly, but, you know, stuff like that really helps and people interact with it and conversations start and stuff.
Thank you.
No worries. Is there any other questions on any of the bits that we just spoke through? No? Great. Well, next up, we've got another little activity. So I'm going to share my screen again for you, Aisha, so you can just do it off my screen.
Great, thank you. So we've got a little bit of a task for you to kind of start thinking about different social media platforms. So we've taken a story off the North West England website that they're pushing at the moment. And so would like you to, how we're going to organise do 2 and 3, people, do you think? Or you can choose?
Maybe just choose.
Yeah, you can choose which one you'd like to try and do. Try and put this story, you can choose which bits of it you want to do, either into a short Facebook post, or a Twitter one, because they're very different. The Twitter, you have to try and limit the characters, and any links you would have to count in the characters, and then you can also link in the website in the post as well, so it kind of, you can get more information from there. So if you want to read, you can get a chance to read through it and choose which bits you want to push and write about, and then we'll come back in a few minutes and see what you've written.
So yeah, like I was saying, the key is to kind of understand what each social channel does. So if you're doing Facebook, then that's more telling a story. And then Twitter is very much like to the point, but still be engaging. Sometimes it's really tricky to do a tweet. I don't know if anyone else finds that, but the other day we had quite a lengthy story to push out, and it was really hard trying to pick out what the most important point was, because there was so much going on in it. And every time I was doing it, it was like it turns your text red if you've got too many characters in there. And I was like, oh, and then I wanted the hashtag and I need the link to the website. It's very stressful, but fun. Once you've done it, maybe just raise your hand or something, just so we know. It's actually quite interesting though that you mentioned the car stickers, because that is actually something that Aisha and I are looking into at the minute, because it's such a conversation starter, and like people see it and they're like, oh, I remember guiding, I was in guiding.
I don't know whether it would be useful to have one as just a general Northwest England one, as well as like individual ones, because then they're kind of universal and can, if somebody's not in their area, it kind of applies wherever they go within the Northwest.
We actually do have a Northwest England car sticker, although it's not along the lines of what you were saying previously with regards to it actually including information about volunteering, etc. It is purely a logo one, that is the region logo with Girlguiding North West England one. But there is that is in existence at the moment. But I do like your idea about one that includes more information on it than just the logo. That sounds good.
This is where it just shows again where we've come together, because this is something we discussed quite a long time in the membership growth team about having a car sticker. And obviously every county will run their membership growth and PR separately or together, or we've always been separately, but we have always had a member of the PR team on the membership growth team. But as membership growth, we haven't had a budget, whereas the PR team have. So that's presumably why they're now looking at it, because it's something they can put into their budget. But there's no right or wrong way, is there? But it's nice now that we're kind of overlapping a little bit more. I think we've come to the decision that we wouldn't have all our meetings together, haven't we? Because PR obviously covers other things just than growth and retention. And likewise, the growth and retention needs to have strategies and support divisions on specific things like warm welcomes and things as well. But it's really good having done this recruitment week where we've actually joined together and perhaps begun to understand each other's point of view a little bit more. And obviously we need the PR team to develop something like the sticker, because those are the skills that you've got.
Yeah, exactly. I am like a walking advertisement for guiding though. Currently, I've got a candle in the window. I got my water bottle. I've got a coaster. Live and breathe it. Yeah.
I took out my new guiding rucksack the other day, and somebody was like, somebody recognised it and was like, "Oh, you're in guiding too." So it's a really nice conversation starter when you have like merchandise.
Exactly, and that's kind of like everyone is their own kind of PR as they're walking around and they're carrying a bag or they're drinking out of a water bottle or whatever. You're all kind of doing it without realising it.
Now that I've got one of the running vests, I'm up and down Manchester, all the streets, wearing my Girlguiding North West England running vest. In fact, I do keep meaning to go to the running club that I'm in, wearing it. I haven't been for a while, but then there's like actual people I'll be running with that it would be great starting a conversation with.
definitely. That's the perfect time when you're having a run as well. Have a little
Oh,
chat.
I mean, I'm not a talker when I'm a runner, but definitely before and after the run, yeah.
How's everyone getting on with the exercise activity? Cool. Right, I'll give you another minute, and then Aisha can run through your posts. Has everyone done one, or is it just the people that signed up? Like Emma, have you done one? You don't have to have done. We're just wondering.
No, I haven't. I can
Okay,
do one
that's
really
fine.
quickly if you want.
No, that's fine.
Okay, should we move on? It doesn't matter if you're not finished yet. We can just go through what we've got so far. Would anyone like to go first, or should I just choose someone? Okay, I'll just choose someone. Abby, do you want to read yours out first? Did you go for Facebook or Twitter?
I went for Twitter.
Okay.
So I've started it with @Girlguiding North West with their actual tag. R50 ! Celebrate with us throughout the year with a range of fun activities, from virtual visits, time capsules, and a challenge badge. So keep an eye on socials for more information, and then the hashtags at the bottom, Girlguiding North West England at the bottom.
Perfect. Does the job. Yeah. Says exactly what it needs to say.
Yeah.
Without it being too lengthy as well. So well done.
Simone, have you written one? Have you done Facebook or Twitter?
Oh, I went for Facebook. I'm terrible on Twitter. I'm going to say, and I've actually tried to be quite succinct, actually, really. So I tried to sort of visualize something that could be more of a sort of like a drip feed one. So you had sort of bits, at the time. So I went for Northwest Girlguiding are celebrating 50 years as a region, and are creating a time capsule to be opened after the next exciting 50 years in 2071. What do you think we should put in it? And then that I would maybe get that pushed out to, because we have quite a lot of local social community groups and things. So I would ask a couple of friends to sort of push that out to maybe then drive people's comments, because I thought that way it would sort of engage with more people rather than just people who are thinking it was just a girl guiding thing, sort of thing, to try and sort of broaden the sort of the audience, really. So so just try and do it like that, but it's quite tricky actually trying to get it across. Yeah, I've had the scribbles all over this paper. So yeah, it was quite tricky actually. So yeah, thank you for the challenge.
I like how you asked the question, because that's going to result in people getting involved and writing their own comments of what they would want to put in it. So that's really clever.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because you chose one of those, didn't you? And then you could go into a different post each week or day or something like that and give it the different ones. I like that idea as well. And Lydia, have you got one? Did you go for Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter, because it sounds a lot easier, I think, rather than Facebook. So I think mine's relatively mundane, because this year marks 50 years of @Girlguiding North West with a little confetti thing and a cake. And to celebrate, our Express Young member team have created a brilliant pack of activities and opportunities to celebrate with your units. And then find the pack here with the link, and then just #Girlguiding, #volunteering. And that was it.
Yeah, great.
So that sounds good, yeah. I like these with the emojis, trying to capture the younger audience.
I also like how you said that Twitter would be easier. It's really not. I don't think anyway. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I talk too much.
Sarah, have you done one?
Yes, I've gone for more of a Facebook post because I don't really do Twitter. And I've gone for just sort of a one-off thing, and I've sort of said, join our party. Girlguiding North West England is celebrating its 50th birthday this year, and you can join in the fun with our 50th birthday challenge and get a badge. And then we could say something like, and who doesn't love a badge in guiding? And then put sort of the website details for Girlguiding North West England as well. So it kind of is almost inviting them to join as well as telling them about the 50th birthday, sort of that angle.
Yeah, awesome. Really good.
Yeah, I like how inviting it sounds as well, like join our party. That's quite nice. And then have we just got Jocelyn left? Have you done one?
Jocelyn is just unavailable at the moment, but she'll be back shortly.
All right, no worries. Cool. Well, yeah, they were really good. You should get involved in the now, guys. So yeah, hopefully that's kind of given you, that particular activity has kind of given you an insight into the types of content that we push out across our social channels and kind of how we think about it and how we construct them. And then hopefully the whole session has given you a taster of a growth and engagement team and maybe got you interested in joining your own county's teams. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them now. Or I mean, I don't know if they will be able to reach out to us, Caroline, moving forward. I'm happy for my email to be shared.
Oh, thank you.
That's okay. So yeah, if you think of something a week down the line or whatever, please don't hesitate to get in touch.
And people watching the recording as well, we'll make sure that if you have any questions, they're directed onto KD or Aisha or Judith.
We contact our social medias as well, and we'll get through that way.
Yeah. I think the thing to remember is that it was a bit tricky for us because we're two different roles. So it depended what you were coming along thinking you were going to get. So we hope we've perhaps you're going to do the lot, which will be brilliant, wouldn't it?
So that's been super informative and interesting. And yeah, hopefully everyone who's here tonight has got a lot out of that. And I think so many people will watch this recording and get lots of ideas. Whether that's sort of to implement on a local level or if they're really passionate about using the different skills, whether more in social media or more in membership growth, and maybe we'll take on a more formal role in growth and engagement. So yeah, thank you so much, you three, for everything that you do, for the amazing recruitment campaign, the social media campaign, and for giving up your time tonight to talk about your roles. I'm sure everyone will agree that they've learned a lot and it's been really, really engaging. So thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks for coming and listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Were there any questions before we end? No, I don't think so. So yeah, thank you so much. As we said, if you think of any questions later, then by all means ask them later, or watching the recording, ask your questions. But yeah, have a lovely evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It means a lot that you've come and you're interested in growth and engagement, and hopefully you'll be able to take away what you've learned today and think about using those skills that you have already, developing more skills and taking on a role in growth and engagement.